Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Clarity in the Chaos as we attempt to bring some vertical clarity into the midst of our horizontal chaos. So, always in life, it's necessary to be able to know which way is the right way, which way is the path God would have me take, which way is the way that's wise, and which way is the way that's foolish. In almost every situation, there are multiple options. There are multiple news sources. There's multiple headlines that can tell you this is what's true or this is what's true. And they often have the same appeal, but you wonder, how do I know which way is the right way? How do I know what to trust? And boy, now more than ever, that is so critical. There's so many opinions and ideas being expressed about this time in our history, and it's important for us as believers to know, how do we know what is accurate? How do we know what is true? How do we know what is wise and helpful for us? The book of Proverbs is written to give us that kind of clarity. Today we are in chapter 9 looking at select verses, maybe a few more today than we might normally look at, because to get the setting or the real intent of chapter 9, you have to take in more of it. So chapter 9, Solomon is laying out before his son and before us. Here's what it looks like when you get into the public arena. There are going to be voices that are crying out to you. And Solomon writes to his son, and he portrays them as two different women. He says they're both going to have a similar message, but if you'll look beyond the message, you'll see some things that set them apart. And this will help you know what is wise and what is not. So he begins chapter 9 with these words about the cry and the voice and the appeal of wisdom. Here's what it says. It says, "Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her meat. She has mixed her wine, has also furnished her table. She has sent out her maidens. She cries out from the highest places of the city. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. As for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine I have mixed. Forsake foolishness and live, and go in the way of understanding." So he paints this picture of wisdom as one who has this majestic house. It is established. She has built it. It has 7 pillars, and there's a meal, and it has been prepared. The meat has been hunted and killed and prepared. The wine has been prepared. The table is furnished. This elaborate picture of this very well established, thought out, history-proven voice. This is not just a shack. This is a house. This is not just a small house. It's a majestic house with 7 pillars. So you get right away this picture that wisdom is established. Wisdom has a history to it. Wisdom has much to offer. There's a meal. There's a prepared meal. Wisdom is settled. Wisdom is confident. Wisdom leads to life. It's an invitation to leave behind foolishness and see clearly. And it's a very simple appeal. It's one that's in the marketplace, Solomon says. But you'll notice that wisdom is established, prepared, has a history to it, and is well articulated, and there's blessing in it. You know when you come into it, there's going to be life. Now, he contrasts that with another voice that's in the public arena. And this voice has the same words to say, but it comes from a very different setting. In verse 13, it contrasts and says, "A foolish woman is clamorous." In other words, she's not glamorous, she's clamorous. She is loud. She is boastful. She is stirring up trouble. She is agitated, and she is clamoring for attention. Very different than the voice of wisdom that is established and secure and providing life. This voice, on the other hand, is stirring up things, is creating tension and conflict, and she's loud and she's aggressive and she's demanding your attention. It says she is simple and knows nothing, for she sits at the door of her house on a seat by the highest places in the city. Now you'll notice she's just at her house and all she has to offer is herself. There's no established framework. There's nothing waiting inside that has great appeal to it. There's no history that says this woman is to be trusted. She's just loud, clamoring for attention, demanding all come her way. And her message comes like this in verse 15. She calls to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. The exact same message of wisdom. And as for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he, the one who goes to her, does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of hell. She covers her past instead of being well established with her past. She hides what she really is about. She is the worst form of clickbait on the internet. She clamors for your attention. She's the flashing icon. She's the one with appeal. She's the one that promises something if you click on her. And then what she offers is this secretive thing, this allure, this destination that will lead you to greater treasures with an air of secrecy to it, with an air of suspicion and an air of stolen waters are going to be sweet. I have something to say to you that not everyone knows and experiences, and come to me. It's a very different voice, even though they look similar, have the same message. What you see behind the scenes is something very different. For you and I today to have clarity in the midst of the chaos, we want to turn to voices that we know are established, secure, have a history of godliness and success and wisdom. You'll know it by where they've come from, what they have prepared, and what they show. Don't listen just because the voice is loud. Don't listen just because it's creating an uproar. In fact, often the voices that are demanding immediate attention with the most amount of clamor and fright and fear and tension, and you have to listen, you have to come over here, that is clickbait. Avoid it. Follow what is wise, what is proven, what is consistent. This is where truth is, and this is where you'll find clarity in the midst of the chaos.